got your strategy statement, you know all of this stuff, you've got all your paperwork, you're like, okay, I did all this crazy hard work now. Next up, we're talking about filming, and so you know we have a huge elephant in the room to take care of. Something I hear frequently is that I must be an extrovert, or I was born to be on video, or anything you can think of that you've probably thought of someone that's on camera or just doing some sort of presenting to a group of people on some level, and you just decided something for them, that they must be a certain way to do what they do. But that's because maybe you weren't clear on your why. It's not because I'm better, or I was born for this, or I was destined to do this. Otherwise, I would have not been able to rightfully create this course and sell it to you. Like, let's be real. I believe that anyone can become talented on video in their own way if they understand what it really means to be talented on video. You're probably holding yourself back in a lot of ways, thinking, oh, I'm new, I'm never gonna be good at this because there's so many other people out there that are better than me already. I am out of practice, I'm too ugly, I'm too old, I'm too this, I'm too that. And you keep using that word, I. But we already talked about this. We're doing this for you. There's some inclination that you want to do this, otherwise you wouldn't be here. But we're not really doing it for you. We're doing it for insert name of your perfect viewer here. If you've made it this far in life, you've probably talked to another human being before. It might have been difficult. Trust me, I can connect with you on that. But you figured it out. You figured out how to lock eyes with someone, tell them a story, connect with them, relate to them, maybe feel a little awkward around them, anything. You've had that human connection before. If you are truly, truly talented on video, it's because you made someone feel like they're in the same room as you, simply having a conversation. That's what I try to do every single time I sit down here. I'm not talking to myself. I'm not talking to my sister. I'm not talking to my best friend. I'm not talking to that super judgy person that says weird things on Twitter. I'm not talking to any of those people. I'm talking to Charlotte. And you just happen to be some iteration of Charlotte right now. So forgive me if you don't feel like you can identify with her. But that's the cool thing. Do you know how often I get emails from people and they're like, listen, I know that you're doing this for Charlotte, but like I really connected with your video and I'm not really a Charlotte, but I just feel like you made that for me. You're gonna help more than your perfect viewer every time. That's how viral videos happen. But they only were good to start with when they were for that one person. Otherwise, you can't help the many. But if you think about the many and you get overwhelmed by the many, and the many are people that probably aren't that pumped for you because they're selfish and only worried about themselves, you're not going anywhere quick. We need to have a moment here, okay? You're thinking of the wrong people all the time. And I get it. I do it too. Think about the fact that I'm sitting in a room right now. I'm not even thinking about my dog. She's the only living being that can hear me at this moment. Literally in this moment, the only being that can hear me until I post this somewhere. I'm alone, but I'm talking to someone in particular. It can be very distracting, let's say, if I go outside and I try to talk to Charlotte and I use my camera to do that, but there's lots of people around me trying to figure out what the crazy girl with the camera's doing. But all I have to do is remember that in that moment, I'm with her. We're hanging out. Let's say Charlotte was outside with me. People probably wouldn't be looking at us weird, but I need to treat that camera the same way as I would if Charlotte was standing right there. You can't let it get to you. You have to get the video done. They're relying on you. Who is it? Joe, Susie, Charlotte, it doesn't matter. They're relying on you. If you let some who knows what who keep you from doing that, you're going nowhere. Again, you're going nowhere. No one's going to be on your team until they're on your team. They're just not. But suddenly, when you're hot, They're on board, right? That party train's gotta be going for anybody to wanna jump on. And you're the only one in charge of that. You gotta do it. You have to show up every time. No one's gonna be there to hold your hand. Even if you actually do have supportive people in your life who will help and hold your hand a little bit, it's still gotta come from you or it's not gonna happen. Always, always, always focus on who you're doing this for, truly. As soon as you lose that focus, all is lost. The video will be terrible. It doesn't matter how good quality it is. It doesn't matter if the audio was nice. I have shot some of the most beautiful videos for other people before. And because they weren't here with the right person, that video was junk. It did nothing. I don't want that to be you. I really don't. Do you think I think it's cool to sit here in a room by myself and talk to a camera? I don't. But because I know who's really watching, the person that wants it is really watching. Everybody else is watching. They're not watching. Not the way she is. It's different. Let's break this down a little bit more practically and go over some of the fears that might be holding you back. Let's start very simply. The fear of gear. You're probably thinking, yeah, well, my perfect viewer is a very, very highly respected CEO of a large company. Super. But yeah, I can't use the gear I have. I have to go out and spend thousands of dollars on gear or hire a crew or do all these things. Otherwise, that guy's never going to take me seriously. Actually, you're wrong. He's currently not taking you seriously because you're doing nothing. Now, if you were to use, say, your smartphone, which is one of probably the best cameras on the planet right now because any dummy can pick it up and press record and it will look great, you could actually get on their radar now. You could actually be gaining some traction. Maybe you do upgrade. Maybe you do grow out of that smartphone. But you took action first in order to indicate that it's even necessary. Do you know how many people buy gear and then it collects dust in the corner because they never use it? Don't let that be you. That is such an annoying person. There are steps you can take to make the smartphone more professional. Upgrade audio, upgrade the tripod, do things the way you want to be perceived. If it has to do with your brand and who your perfect viewer is, I welcome that. We'll talk a lot more about that in a gear segment here, but I want you to get past this fear of gear because the reason why the dumbest people on the planet are able to make millions of dollars is because they picked up a smartphone and started talking to the camera function and did something other people wouldn't. And you're allowing the gear to hold you back. Stop. Fear of ROI or return on investment. You might be thinking, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this because it could do nothing for me. I could spend time, money, resources, plans. I could do all these things, but what if it does nothing? Like nothing. I'm gonna go ahead and go on record for this and say it's virtually impossible for anyone who takes video seriously, publishes on a regular basis, shares the value that they know with people who need it, to get zero ROI out of it. There's always a way. Even if all your viewers can't spend a dime on a product, they might know somebody who can. They might recommend you to somebody. There's always value you can get out of someone, even if they have nothing. They could be the best testimonial on the face of the planet. How can you leverage those testimonials to get more monetization opportunities? There is always a way. This goes back to your strategy statement. If you're worried that you're not getting the ROI that you want, then you're probably just not measuring it. Go back to that strategy statement. What's your why? What were the goals associated with that? What are those things you need to focus on? Because you can answer your own question real quick. You know what? Here we go. I'm going to do this. Fear of ROI out the door. I'm going to do this for a year. Solid. If I don't reach any of my goals, not a single one, and my why has not come to even close to fruition, and I am totally unhappy, I'm quitting. Fine. Now, don't say you're going to give yourself a month because nothing's happening in a month. You need to put some work in. And I hesitate to even say 6 months, but I still think you could see results in 6 months Or I could think you could see results in 1 month. But I want you to have a realistic amount of time, because I don't know if you've heard, it's really hard to break down people's walls and build relationships with them. So if you think you're going to post one video in a week and make a best friend on the internet who could be a potential client, you got something else coming. Relationships, trust. It takes time. You have to be okay with the fact that it takes time, or you need to walk out the door right now. So give yourself an ample amount of time. And if you want to put a quitting date on it, you go to town. I didn't even bother with that because I saw results. And I know you will. If you know what you're looking for, you stay focused on what you want, and you actually measure it, you will get those. You will get those results. Because even if somebody says, hey, I'm the biggest viewer of all time, I know I'm not really your perfect viewer, but I do know someone that really needs your help. So I sent him your video. You know what you could say? Oh, cool. Why don't you connect us via email? Maybe he watched the video and enjoyed it. I'd love to talk to him about it. And if that person's got a budget or the ability to buy something or whatever the case may be, now we're getting somewhere. Yep, it's hard work, but you can make it happen, and you will get return on video. Fear of personality. Here's a good one. I know what you're thinking. Amy, you're just such a fun personality. I'll never be as fun as you. I just couldn't possibly. I might as well give up. Listen, I don't even have words for you. It's not about having the right personality. It's about being a person talking to a person. That's it. I can name lots of celebrities that have zero personality, but they knew what they were doing when they were talking to a camera. They knew who they were talking to. Not everyone's personality is for everyone. If you're so worried about what other personalities seem like and everyone's like this or everyone's like that, you're not paying enough attention to the person that matters. This isn't about being like everyone else. It's about being different than everyone else, specifically to your perfect viewer. So wrap your mind around that, because that's never going to change. And your personality is more than enough. If you've been able to complete a sentence to a human before, ideally a paragraph or two, you'll be fine. All right, so we've knocked down a little bit on the fear side, and I know that there's more, and there's always more, but you've got to keep that right person in mind. That is the end result here. You have to do that. So now let's actually talk about how you can build on that talent. If you're focused on who they are, how can you actually build talent with video? Specialize. If you truly want to be talented on video, you have to do what we talked about earlier, that strategy statement, right? You have to break down these components. But the reason why they're all going to make sense is because you are a specialist in one particular area. Maybe there's a couple of things underneath this umbrella, but you specialize in that. You don't do all things for all people, because you're not doing this for all people. You're doing this for who? Name them. You know who I'm talking about. So what do they need from you, and what fits with your plan, with what you want, with your ROI, your goals, your why, and what is the area that you cover because of that? You specialize in that. The more you focus on how much you specialize, the easier it is for other people to even say what you do. It's a part of having a brand, but it's also a lot easier for you to become talented, because yeah, maybe it sounds like you're saying the same thing a lot of the time, but that's because you're great at it, because you did nothing but that. That's what we're looking for. Specialize. Next, you're going to read. If you want to read a book, you can, but I'm not talking about reading a book. I'm talking about reading your perfect viewer. You've got to know them. You have to read them upwards and forwards and backwards, and on Twitter and Instagram comments, in the DM, when you're talking to somebody at a networking event, when you see them in the comments of someone else's content and you're thinking, that person should watch my videos. What are they saying? Why are they thinking that? What made them type that stuff on the internet? Search for these people on Twitter. What's the conversation? Read them, know their day, know their struggle, know their life, and you will specialize and be so talented, because when you get on camera, the focus you'll have on what's going in their head, going on, magic on camera, magic. And the final step is practice, because that's all that's left. You have them, you have your specialty, those two things fused together, and you getting better at crafting your message every time. Practice, and you will become talented as fast as you can get all of that done. Practice means post it. okay? Practice means post it. It may not be your first YouTube video that you're practicing. Maybe you just go to Instagram stories and start talking to the camera or stream on Facebook. Whatever the case is, just talk to the camera, specialty, and who your perfect viewer is. Know them backwards and forwards. Talk to them, and post as often as you can. Because every time you do, you'll watch it and go, ugh, I'm not that good. And that's okay, because I still do that. I still go back and I'm like, really, Amy, you could have done better. Like, you could have done, I always can do better. And that's why the last video is always the best. And the next one is going to be even better. If you never post it, if you just film it, watch it back, vomit a little bit in your mouth, swallow it, and then delete the file, and no one ever sees it, you never get better. You block that thing out of your brain and you just try to move on and do something else. You got to post it. Part of this is you're practicing your interaction with the viewer. They're going to talk back. If you did a good job, they'll find you, they'll want to talk back. And you need that interaction. At the beginning, you need that interaction so bad because you're like, I don't have an audience, I don't have anybody to ask anything. Even if you don't have that problem, you need that interaction. Go get it. It's not about likes and comments, it's the substance of what's happening there. That's why I swear it's because I have the most high caliber, amazing YouTube comments. And the rest of the world is scared to death of YouTube comments. I thrive off of them because I have done such a good job of specializing and talking to my girl. All the comments are so thoughtful and so present and intentional, and just the meaning. It goes so far, and it's not just me making videos. It's me having a real conversation. But if I never posted anything, which is why I have 2 former YouTube channels, I wouldn't have ever had practice, which is what set Savvy Sexy Social up for success when I launched it. The fact that I had experience. I did. But there was a time when I had a YouTube channel with 0 experience. We've all got to start somewhere. As we come to a close in Module 3, I want you to consider this. If you want to be talented on video, I want you to envision your perfect viewer right now. And I want you to envision them looking at their phone or looking at their computer and watching your video. I want you to think about how they feel. What are they feeling? Are they mentally driven by what you're saying? Are they thinking, oh, I got to do that, thank you, because of what you're saying? If they feel some version of the fact that they might be in the same room as you, if it weren't for that camera in the way, you have become a talent on video. That's all it takes. Are you watching this and thinking, I feel like I'm being consulted by Amy in her office right now? If you do feel that way, I've done my job. That's talent. I don't have to be somebody else. I don't have to be funny if I don't want to. I don't have to get loud. I just have to do what I promised to you in a way that you can receive it and feel like, oh my gosh, yeah, she made that for me. That's it. You figured it out. All you got to do to be talented on video. There are lots of other tactics that we'll get into, but that's all for Module 3. I want you to go and practice right now. Use your strategy statement. Get a feel for the stuff that you want to specialize in based on your idea bank and things like that. Go live. Go to your Instagram. Do anything. Lock eyes with the camera, knowing who it is, and practice. Because your YouTube channel, when it launches or when you get that next video out, is going to be astronomically different. Like, mind-blowing. If everyone took this one piece of advice of looking at the lens of the camera like it's a person and genuinely doing that for the entire time, they would be better than everyone else immediately. I'm giving you that right now, please. I'll see you in Module 4.